I want the people of South Surrey, White Rock to know that I'm a fighter and an advocate. I'm a lawyer by background. I've had 10 years in Parliament now. I have been a senior minister in Stephen Harper's government. I know how to lead. I know how to advocate. I know how to tell people far away in Ottawa about BC and the West Coast, and it would be my honor to continue to do that. I'm Kerry-Lynne Findlay. I am the candidate for the Conservative Party of Canada in South Surrey, White Rock, where I've been the Member of Parliament for the last 5 years. I am the Chief Opposition Whip for the Conservative Party. I'm the first woman to ever have that role. And I am one of only 2 parliamentary officers for the opposition in Parliament, meaning recognized by the governing body of Parliament. And in that role, there's a party role and there's a parliamentary role. The party role is that I oversee all the committee work of Conservative members on the many committees we have, standing committees on justice, defense, many areas, and I make sure that our Conservative members are there, they're on time, they're brief, they know what they're doing. Also, I am the one who decides where our caucus members sit in Parliament, so when someone is watching it on TV, I'm the one who has decided who sits where, except for a very few positions like my own where I always sit right behind the leader. It is also my responsibility as whip to whip the vote. And what that means is that I make sure that all our caucus members know what vote is coming up, which way they should be voting after we have discussed it and agreed on our course of action, and we take attendance. I'm also the person who approves travel for members of Parliament if they are asked to go somewhere or speak on behalf of the party or Parliament in general. It also puts me on several internal committees. I'm on the board of Parliament. It's called the Board of Internal Economy, which runs the $750 million enterprise, which is the Parliament of Canada. I am also on the House Leaders Committee, and then for my party, I am Pierre Poilievre, who's our leader. I am on his leadership team. I am his BC lieutenant, meaning I'm the only person in BC on that small leadership team, and I am also on our Planning and Priorities Committee, which decides which pieces of legislation we put forward first and what our approach will be to government legislation. Well, polling is an interesting part of our modern political life, but the kind of polling we pay attention to is what we are hearing at the doors. And what we are hearing at the doors is that voters want change. They're very supportive of the Conservative Party, our leader, and our vision for the future, which is a more affordable vision for Canada. It's a more self-reliant country. And we hear a lot of good support for this when we go door to door and talk to people. Polls, look, in the United States, they predicted a different outcome entirely, and we suspect this is going to happen here in Canada as well. Polls change, of course, over time. We're not even halfway through the federal election yet, and the final day for voting is April 28th. The advance polls are on Easter weekend, 18th through to the 21st of April, so we'll see where things sit then, but I think it's important to note that our leader is getting record crowds out to his meet and greets, as we call them. The one here in Surrey had over 5,600 people at it. It was awesome. It was very inspiring to see the support for his message. In Oshawa, just recently, yesterday, he had over 6,000 people there. So we don't see that happening with the Liberal Party. Mr. Carney's getting out maybe 100 people or a few hundred, but nothing like crowds of 5,000 or 6,000. So we have very motivated voters who really believe in our messaging of greater affordability, and enough is enough. The Liberals don't deserve a fourth term. Well, much along the lines, as I've said, we are concentrating on our own campaign. We are making very important policy announcements on a daily basis that are resonating with Canadians. And after all, Mr. Carney is untried and untested in politics. He's only been around for about 3 weeks, whereas our leader has been hammering away in Parliament and advocating for Canadians for 20 years, but certainly as leader now for around 2.5 years, almost 3. So there's a big difference between fighting for 3 years and fighting for 3 weeks. And people really don't know Mr. Carney. As they are getting to know him, we're seeing the polls change. We're seeing some polls say that we're going to win. And it's because as they look at him and learn more about him and get the measure of him, they don't like him. He doesn't have a high likability. He is a person who has been in the very high rarefied atmosphere of appointments. He's been appointed or hired to every position he's had. He hasn't had to be accountable to the people. Even now, we've asked him to make financial disclosure, which he refuses to do because technically under the rules, he has 120 days to give full financial disclosure as a Prime Minister, which would be well after the election. But if he was being honest and transparent with Canadians, he would give that willingly, and he is not. He is the most conflicted Prime Minister in Canadian history, elected or unelected. Look what he did with his companies. He moved over 40 of his companies to Bermuda to evade Canadian tax. He just moved Brookfield, his main asset management group, to the United States, to New York, after Donald Trump was elected and after the threat of tariffs was announced. So he holds 3 passports and a working visa in the States. That is fine if you're in business. And if you're only accountable to your own shareholders, it is not fine for voting Canadians. And they're getting to know that. And we think they will look at who really has been championing their cause of affordability. We're the ones who've offered real tax cuts. We're the ones who have talked about a national energy corridor to get our energy projects off the ground. We've talked about shovel-ready projects where people will be able to get to work, and also an investment fund where we will invest in Canadian workers. If they are badly affected by the tariffs, we're going to help them out. There's many policy statements like that that will help life be more affordable for Canadians. I think we are providing that explanation every day. It's an election campaign, and in an election campaign, you roll out your policies day by day or every other day. You don't throw them all at everyone at once. It would be too much to take in. So we want the proper time to give people our policies so they can look at them and evaluate them. And among those policies has been, for instance, a 15% tax cut, which is very important to make life more affordable. We have said that we will remove the GST from homes you're buying for 1.3 million or less. Now, we have a lot of homes here that are more than that, but we have a lot of homes here that are less than that or up to that 1.3 million threshold. This means a lot to the voters of South Surrey and White Rock. It can save a family $65,000 on the purchase of a home. We've also said that if you are buying a Canadian-made car, that you will no longer have to pay GST. That's about a $2,500 saving on a $50,000 purchase. We have also said, as I mentioned, that we are going to look after people who are negatively affected by the tariffs and protect their jobs and protect their industries as we move forward toward the negotiating table. We've also talked about the National Northern Canada First Northern Energy Corridor in order to get our resources from the West Coast to the East Coast. We live in such a big country, and my commute from here to Ottawa every week when I'm going back and forth is 4,600 kilometers, and that's only to Ottawa. So we need to be able to break down our interprovincial trade barriers. If we did that alone, that would be a saving of $5,100 per person. It would make our GDP go up 7% just by trading with ourselves. This is something within our power to do. So all of our policies, and there's even more than I've mentioned, but our policies are meant to make Canada stronger, make our economy stronger, make Canada more self-reliant, diversify our trading relationships so we're not as dependent on the United States. We need more trade with Asia and the Pacific nations. We need more trade with Europe, South America. We just need to diversify and not be as dependent on one country. Although we do trade with the United States and we will continue to do so, we have to understand that we can't rely as much on them perhaps as we once did. There are many other policies we have for seniors, for instance. We have a lot of seniors in this riding, and you are going to be able to earn up to $34,000 extra dollars tax-free. We've also said that we will get rid of the capital gains tax if you, for 18-month pilot project, if you reinvest your capital gains in active Canadian companies, there will be no capital gains tax at all. Once we see how that works and we believe it will be a real windfall, we will make it permanent. These are huge measures to make us more prosperous and stronger. Well, I've certainly mentioned some of those already, and lowering taxes, personal taxes, lowering corporate taxes, incentivizing reinvestment in Canadian industry and Canadian business. These are all things to stop our drain of investment. We have lost $500 billion in investment to the United States under the Liberals for the last 9.5 years. We have to stop that. We have to attract investors and entrepreneurs, innovators, small business people, and large business. We need to attract them back to Canada. And we believe a better tax system will do that. Pierre Poilievre has also said in his first 90 days in office as Prime Minister, he is going to form a tax reform task force that will look at overhauling our whole tax system to make it more fair, more easier to live and do business. I mentioned the taking away the GST on the homes under 1.3 million. That's huge for most families. The tax cuts we're proposing are going to mean that for an individual, they'll save $900 right off the bat in a year, but a working couple, which we have many of, that would be $1,800 a year. All of this is going to add up. Plus, we're going to get rid of the carbon tax, not just for consumers, as Mark Carney has suddenly adopted. We're going to get rid of it everywhere for everybody. And that is a huge difference in cost. And we start to bring down interest rates. We start to bring down inflation. We start to make gas and groceries and rents and mortgages and down payments much more affordable for working Canadians. We want to put an end to the war on work in Canada and have people get the just rewards of their hard work with more powerful paychecks. Well, it has been my absolute honor to represent the people of South Surrey and White Rock for the last 5 years. I care very much about this community in which I live as well. There are many, many local issues that some are unique to us and some are shared right across the country. We have an iconic pier in White Rock that needs some federal investment of funds to fortify it underneath so that it doesn't break up in a bad storm again, as it did back in 2018. We have infrastructure needs here in South Surrey, White Rock. We need at some point the SkyTrain, which has federal funds in it, that is now being extended from Surrey out to Langley, to come down from that spine, come down into South Surrey, White Rock. We have so many people who commute every day into Vancouver, and that's why I've also championed in the past, and I will again, to have federal funds help replace the Massey Tunnel in whatever form, whether it's a bridge or a twinning of the tunnel. We need to get people back and forth between here and Delta and Richmond and Vancouver and Burnaby. We need these corridors to open up to move people and goods. We also want to see our natural resources opened up, and we have a lot of people here who are involved in those industries, in mining, etc. We have to have refineries in Canada so that our oil isn't all sent south just across the water from us here to the Cherry Point refinery and then sold back to us at world prices. We need to be more self-reliant in our trade with each other. So here in South Surrey, White Rock, we're a border community. Border security is a big issue, and we are going to hire 2,000 more Canadian Border Services agents. We are going to up our investment, really make an investment in our scanners at the border, because right now only 0.5% of the containers crossing our borders are inspected, and in those are often smuggled drugs and guns and even people. We have to be more serious about this. We are a strong party for law and order and against drugs. And these are two really big issues in this community and every community. We've lost 50,000 Canadians to drug overdose. And we are going to stop taxpayer-funded drugs that are diverted by organized crime into the open market. This is not good. Do you know the #1 leading cause of death among BC residents ages 10 to 17 is drug overdose? Isn't that sad? We have to stop this. We have to work on this. Also on crime, we are going to have jail, not bail, for repeat violent offenders. We can no longer accept that in peaceful, historically peaceful White Rock, that there have been gangland shootings, stabbings down at the beach. This is unacceptable. Extortion is up almost 600% in Surrey. That's unacceptable. Home invasions are up throughout our area and throughout Canada. Also unacceptable. But many of these criminals actually are out on bail. They've already been arrested, and then they're back out. So violent repeat offenders we will deal more harshly with. We will also treat those who traffic in deadly fentanyl as murderers, because that's exactly what they are. They know that deadly drug supply is going to kill people. So we need to treat that seriously. And we have many other justice reforms. I want the people of South Surrey, White Rock to know that I'm a fighter and an advocate. I'm a lawyer by background. I've had 10 years in Parliament now. I have been a senior minister in Stephen Harper's government. I know how to lead. I know how to advocate. I know how to tell people far away in Ottawa about BC and the West Coast. And it would be my honor to continue to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you.